Jay Blades has disappeared from the repair shop. This has left fans shocked because they can't believe what's happening. At first, it looked like a quiet schedule change, but the truth behind his sudden disappearance is way more troubling. This is disturbing. The beloved TV host who once guided us through heartwarming fix-ups is now at the center of a story that's so much worse than anyone expected. From whispers online to serious charges in court, the mystery of why he was pulled from TV has only gotten deeper. It is leaving a treasured BBC show in unknown territory, and viewers desperate for answers. But first, let's look at the man behind the controversy. Humble beginnings. Before Jay Blades found his place in the public eye, he grew up in a world where being poor was an awkward problem but a constant reality. His earliest memories were shaped by the cramped, noisy feel of a government apartment where neighbors went through thin walls and money was always tight. Raised mostly by his mother, a tough yet hard-working woman who had him as a teenager, Jay saw firsthand the stress of trying to provide for a family with little means. She worked long hours in whatever job she could find, leaving little time for rest and even less for a normal home life. His father was gone, making only rare visits. Jay has described this absence as a constant, silent hurt, adding to a feeling of family safety that was missing. This instability at home matched the wider challenges of Hackney in the 1970s and 1980s, an area far removed from the trendy cafes and flipped-up apartments it would later become. Back then, Hackney was one of London's poorest neighborhoods hurt by unemployment, bad housing conditions, and underfunded public services. Violence and crime were part of the landscape. Street fights, gang fights, and small theft were so common that they barely got attention. For young people like Jay, learning how to protect themselves was as needed as learning to cross the road. Members saw bullying on the streets and felt hostility both from other kids and at times from the police. This constant feeling of tension made childhood unpredictable, with moments of play stopped by flashes of danger. School offered little relief. Jay was a quiet child who struggled to keep up in class, not because of a lack of smarts, but because he was often diagnosed with dyslexia. Reading and writing were daily battles with words swimming on the page and instructions slipping past him. Teachers often mistook his problems for not caring or laziness, which only made his frustration worse. Bullies picked up on his differences, making him a frequent target. By the time he reached his mid-teens, giving up had set in completely. He left school without grades and, more importantly, was still unable to read. Yet even in these hard years, there were sparks of being resourceful with limited resources. Jay learned to fix broken items, make do with what he had, and see potential where others saw waste. These were survival skills at the time, but they planted the seeds for his future career in fixing and craftsmanship. In later interviews, Jay has looked back on his Hackney childhood as both harsh and shaping. There were struggles, certainly, but also moments of warmth, friendships in the housing complex courtyard community, gatherings, and an understanding among those sharing the same hardships. It was in this world shaped by hardship that Jay's toughness and caring began to take root, setting the stage for the man he would later become. Survival years. With no formal grades and still struggling to read, Jay Blades faced a harsh reality in his early adult years. His survival would have to depend on action, not papers. He turned to whatever work he could find, taking on odd jobs that offered quick cash rather than long-term safety. These roles varied from short-term labor to basic fixie-it work, but each one taught him the value of not giving up. It was a mixed-up existence, yet it kept him going in an environment where steady work felt out of reach. It was during this period that a turning point came up. Blades began volunteering with small local community projects in and around Hackney. At first, this involvement was about staying busy and helping where he could. He moved toward projects that relied on hands-on skills such as fixing old furniture, cleaning up donated goods, and helping neighbors with small yet important home repairs. His hands-on ability and natural way with people quickly made him a trusted presence in the neighborhood. For a man who had grown used to instability, this stability was both strange and life-changing. Their home became more than just a roof over his head. It became a space where he could stop running from himself. According to many sources, Blades has credited this period with giving him the breathing room to start facing his problems instead of hiding them. Simple routines, shared meals, conversations, and the structure of a safe environment began chipping away at the hopelessness that had gripped him for years. The turning point wasn't dramatic. It came slowly through moments of self-reflection and the gentle push of people who believed in him. Instead of telling him what he should be, they reminded him of who he could be. That difference mattered. As he later told media, when you've been to the bottom, it's the little things that start to lift you. One of those little things became one of his greatest personal victories: learning to read. For most of his life, Blades had hidden his inability to read, getting around it through memory-making do and avoidance. But in his 30s, supported by people who refused to see it as a weakness, he decided to tackle it head-on. This was no easy feat. The embarrassment, the frustration, and the self-doubt made the process painful. Yet each small breakthrough in reading wasn't just about reading words. It was about taking back control over a part of life he had long been shut out from. Learning to read reshaped the way he thought about himself. The skill opened doors to new ideas, deeper conversations, and the ability to connect with people in ways he hadn't before. It also gave him a renewed sense of independence. He no longer felt trapped by what he couldn't do. Instead, he was energized by what he could. By the time he was ready to move forward, the sadness that had left him isolated felt less like an unmovable weight and more like a shadow he could step out from. The lifeline had done its job. It had not just saved him from homelessness, it had given him the tools to rebuild from the ground up with reading toughness, and the belief that the next chapter of his life could be written on his own terms. Viewers connected to him not because he is an expert fixer himself. He often reminded people that his own skills were still developing, but because he approached each story with curiosity and caring. His background, shaped by struggle and toughness, gave him a unique understanding of how objects can hold meaning far beyond their material value. The show's quiet, heartfelt tone stood out in a TV landscape often dominated by high-drama formats. Instead of conflict or competition, the repair shop offered thinking, patience, and the celebration of craft. DJ's role as a guide, ensuring that each guest's story was told with dignity, became a defining part of the show's success. For many viewers, it wasn't just a host. He was a companion through a journey of memory and renewal, making the repair shop as much about people as it was about repairs. As his career started to grow and take off, so too did his personal life, love, marriage, and conflict. Jay Blades' personal life took a dramatic turn in late 2021 when he revealed his engagement to Lisa Marie Boson, a fitness trainer and CEO of Warrior Method. Their relationship had been largely kept out of the public eye. But when they decided to marry, it was presented as a joyful new chapter for both. The couple's whirlwind moved quickly from dating to engagement and ended in an intimate ceremony in Barbados in December 2022. The event was attended by a small circle of family and friends, with the ceremony held on a secluded beach. In interviews following, the wedding Blade spoke warmly about his new wife, describing her as supportive and inspiring during a period when his career was busier than ever. The marriage, however, was short. By 2024, she posted on public lines to the separation on social media. In her statement, she claimed that the relationship had been marked by controlling behavior and emotional abuse. She described feeling isolated, restricted, claiming that the dynamic of their marriage had become unhealthy. While she didn't provide accounts of specific incidents, her post hinted at a pattern of conduct she found damaging. Blades, for his part, did not issue an immediate, detailed public response, but acknowledged the marriage had ended. He expressed regret over the situation and avoided engaging in a long public fight. The lack of an extensive counterstatement from him contrasted with Boson's more open account, leaving much of the public discussion shaped by her version of events. The collapse of the relationship generated significant media attention, especially as it came at a time when Blades was one of the BBC's most recognizable personalities. The difference between his on-screen persona, warm, caring, and community-oriented, and the accusations made against him became a point of discussion in entertainment news outlets. Some fans expressed shock at the claims, while others held back judgment, noting the absence of supporting details. For Blades, the episode marked a challenging period in which his private life was suddenly exposed to public scrutiny. While the accusations did not lead to formal legal proceedings, they added a layer of personal controversy to a career previously defined by uplifting and positive television moments. In the months following the split, he appeared to focus on work commitments, charity projects, and rebuilding his life, keeping personal commentary to a minimum. The end of his marriage to Lisa Boson was not only the conclusion of a personal relationship, but it also became a highly publicized conflict that was opposite to his image as the heart of the repair shop. It underscored the difficulty public figures face when personal disputes become mixed with professional reputation, and for Jay, those challenges were just beginning. Downfall began as a deeply personal crisis for Jay Blades. His marriage, ending amid accusations of controlling behavior, quickly escalated into a chain of events that would alter his public and professional life beyond recognition. In September 2024, West Mercia police charged him with controlling and coercive behavior toward his estranged wife, Lisa Marie Boson. The charge came as a shock to many of his fans, and the BBC reacted almost immediately. On the very same day, an episode of The Repair Shop, due to air in a primetime slot, was suddenly pulled from the schedule. The network refrained from making a detailed public statement. Its action signaled a clear shift in how it would handle Blades' presence on screen. The BBC noted that Blades was not a direct employee, but rather an on-screen contributor, an important distinction that did little to temper speculation. The archived episodes of the show remained temporarily available on iPlayer, but the absence of any further explanation from the broadcaster left the public to fill the silence with theories. In the months that followed, matters worsened. Authorities brought further, more serious charges against him, amplifying media attention and public scrutiny.